Thank you very much to colleague Bracanovic for his very comprehensive and instructive presentation. Now I know what is integrative bioethics. So that's it. The next presenter is Tomislav Janovic.
Excuse me, would you like to discuss the presentation now or at the end? Because we may organize general discussion, or maybe we can discuss the presentation now. No, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, please. Would you?
Okay. It's a time for discussion.
Yes, it's time.
It's time for discussion. So.
Please. There are a lot
discussion.
Okay, I understand here.
There are a lot of questions, and this topic is very interesting. And Maria, please, your hand was first.
Dear Tomislav, first of all, thank you very much for mentioning me. I don't feel just like a guest anymore. Second of all, I would like to first share my surprise with these respective scholars. Because if you would come back to the beginning of this conference, we had a very nice opportunity, the discussion between Samoescu and Harris, in which we have heard affirmative and then afterwards negative standpoints about moral enhancement. Now we were listening about concept of integrative bioethics, which is its self-importance, although its importance was shown here because we have a separate panel which is called integrative bioethics. But we didn't have an opportunity to hear an affirmative standpoints from persons who were cited here, who were quoted here, and in order to have now pure negative, so that this international audience would be able to create and develop some kind of independent thinking. Therefore, we could discuss whether this kind of approach to integrative bioethics would be called pseudo-scientific. I would also like to refer to several parts of your presentation. First of all, as I said, I thank you very much for quoting me, but if you really want to go there, I would like you to explain to the international audience, although this is not the topic of this conference, but you have just made it, who is Berdyaev, what is his philosophy, what is his possible connection with integrative bioethics, and in which way it was used in the text, because otherwise it would mean that you are making some kind of delusion towards the audience. As far as the integrative bioethics concept, I've noticed that you are mainly focused on two authors, Chovic and Juric, so that it wouldn't seem that is a kind of inter-university argument in Croatia, that it wouldn't seem that it's kind of a personal or inter-university argument in Croatia. I would like you to ask you, did you read articles about integrative bioethics of other international colleagues who have also cooperated in this project? For example, Beltner, Thomas Soren Hoffman, Michael Fuchs, Norman Zeiler, Dieter Sturma, and most recently Hans Martin Sass from Georgetown University. Just a second. And if you would, of course, refer to their concepts of integrative bioethics, and furthermore about this international cooperation. Okay, thank you.
Okay. But where should I start? It's very long exposé. So, when it comes to who was invited and not invited, well, this is not up to me. I was invited.
Maybe it's a question to organize.
This is, I don't know, so I'm not responsible for this. Well, when it comes to the fact that I described with some importance the integrative bioethics rather than discussing it here, well, I'm not sure if you can interpret it in this way. Say, we could also have a panel on Trofim Lysenko and discuss his views, but that would partly be a recognition of his scholarly work. You know what I mean? No,
no problem.
So much about it. But as you mentioned, of course, there are a lot of people writing on integrative bioethics, and there are also some people from abroad writing on it. I actually mentioned two of them. Did you read those articles? No, I guess not. By Sassover and Marian.
Could you further continue?
Yeah, but I made it precisely clear at the beginning that I'm focusing on Croatian brand, Croatian segment focused on the regional development of integrated bioethics because it's regional bioethics. It's the panel. Why not?
Yes, but you have called it pseudo-scientific, and you have made some very interesting comments. And you told it's self-importance and self-sufficiency. They are just publishing about their own, but there is 6 proceedings edited internationally of conferences that are held, forums for Southeastern Europe. And you have skipped that part. You were just talking about these journals which are edited among themselves and published. I think it's fair enough for international audience to hear about that part.
Sure. I didn't want to enter into this because it would complicate the story, but the basic pattern is the same. I know those publications. It's usually the standard matrix is the following. Well, find some nice German philosopher and arrange a meeting with him, and then co-edit and publish a volume of essays. But it's usually the same thing. You have the editors publishing papers of a very narrow circle of focus, and usually they publish their own paper. I don't think it's very, say, these
proceedings or?
These proceedings, I don't think they went through a very rigorous peer reviewing process.
You don't think?
No, I don't
you
think.
know or you don't know? You don't think. It's a very dangerous and pseudo-scientific statement.
It's a pattern.
You don't think.
It's the domestic pattern translated abroad. You have Ante Čović's editor of most international editions also.
By himself or with
okay.
international? Some nice journals, as you said.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to hear those nice journals. What do they think if somebody is trying to describe them as
Sure, I
that?
would like to discuss it with them.
Yes, thank you very much.
The next.
Okay, please.
So I'm afraid I don't know enough about the bioethics of the region to assess the contents of the claim, perhaps in a way that others in the audience can. But I guess one thing I'd caution you on is that in a way, this is what philosophers think about bioethics. This is what, in a way, this is what philosophers thought about bioethics, that whenever new fields develop, they develop in the way that you described. Well, I mean, if you tracked where people publishing on moral enhancement were publishing, it would be in a journal that Julian edits, in a couple of collections that Julian edits. So I'm not making a claim either way about your overall stance, but we do need to be a little bit cautious by simply showing that people cite each other, that they publish each other, that there's this kind of institutional defensiveness, that you conclude from that the entire thing is
Sure.
bogus.
I agree. All great scientific ideas start like this, that some group of scientists or scholars have some new concept or idea, and they start by citing each other. However, when the concept is really scientific and really interesting, really internationally, say, recognized, you soon have a whole web of citations, not restricted to one small circle. But if you claim that you're internationally recognized, the biggest contribution of creation bioethics, expect some more branching of these citations, not the small circle of cross citations and circles of citations. This was my point. But I agree totally with you that even the very respectable scientific ideas usually involve a lot of self-citations and cross-citations. But in this case, I think this is not right.
Excuse me?
Because I have to leave for a moment, concerning who was invited. I invited 3 people or 2 people who are against the integrative bioethics. You are in favor of it. The dean of the medical faculty was the seat of integrative bioethics in Serbia was invited. He didn't appear, and Sandra Mladenovic was invited, didn't appear. So there is a prevalence of pro-integrative bioethics people here who were invited. Since they didn't turn up, some of them, I can't help that.
Wayne, I'm sure that you have invited them. Excuse me, are other people want to discuss?
Can I?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Please.
I'm also grateful to our colleague from Croatia for showing to this respectable international how important and developed the concept of integrative bioethics is, so that it has already become an object of discussion, of criticism, of polemics in such an important international conference, and thank you, Mr. Aleksandrovich, for advertising. However, I would like to say, as our colleague Maria Selak, that I'm surprised by the fact that the organizers of this conference included in the conference program a panel on such a heterogeneous topic, which means that the panel is not connected at all to the general topic of this conference. But this fact can or could be justified and tolerated. The thing that cannot be tolerated and justified is that the organizers invited, as we already heard, to the panel on integrative bioethics only the persons who criticize or even attack the concept of integrative bioethics, without inviting the objects of this criticism, namely people who work a lot on developing the concept and the practice of integrative bioethics, the people quoted in this paper, and the people quoted in other works of Mr. Dracanovich. Such an one-sided approach is precisely one of the characteristics of pseudo-scientific approach or pseudoscience, and I agree with colleague Selak in this point. And this is exactly one of the things that the integrative bioethics was accused of in this presentation. It is even more strange, I should say, and I'm talking about this because this is the problem of scientific methodology, not only of our personal relations. It is even more strange that some of the proponents of integrative bioethics were not invited, in the light of the fact that Mr. Vojin-Rakic, who said that he will come back, he participated also in the conferences organized and the books edited by the integrative bioethicists. I'm sure that Mr. Dracanovich knows that. And Mr. Vojin-Rakic had no critical objections towards the concept of integrative bioethics. So I wanted to make such an introduction into my commentary or the question regarding this presentation of Mr. Dracanovich. I would like to oppose to the thesis and the position of Mr. Dracanovich, but there is a problem. I don't know what is precisely his position in the field of bioethics. I've just heard what is his position in relation to integrative bioethics, and with care, whatever. And I can only conclude that Mr. Dracanovich is disintegrative bioethicist or disintegrated bioethicist. And I don't know, for example, how he could solve concrete ethical problems, by which means he would like to solve some important ethical problems.
This is going ad hominem. This is going ad hominem now. And I think this is not the way that you should discuss it.
Was it ad hominem or
It
not?
was ad hominem, you know it is.
Was
So
it ad
please-
hominem or not?
Excuse me, could you please let him?
Yes, I will.
continue?
I think that
I'm
Mr.
just saying it was ad
Todorovich-
hominem.
I think that Mr. Todorovich is chair of this session, and my question will be...
Janovic and Todorovich are chairs of this session.
Okay, they are the chairs of this session and not Mr. Janovic. So, one of my questions could be, what are the results of this non-integrative bioethics in Croatia? For example, what are the topics of the texts of Mr. Dracanovich on bioethics? As far as I know, his texts ad hominem. His texts are mostly on the topic of integrative bioethics. Furthermore, although I'm grateful for advertising, as I already said, I think that Mr. Dracanovich, using an eminently pseudo-scientific method, presented the idea and the effects of integrative bioethics one-sidedly. For example, he could, we already heard some names, he could compare it with the non-Croatian integrative bioethics. He could problematize the ideas called integrative bioethics in general, not only from this Croatian perspective. And using the term pseudoscientific, I can say, and I think that this is obvious to other people too, that we saw and we heard from Mr. Bracanovic kind of falsification of the thesis of integrative bioethicists and integrative bioethics, because it was kind of extracting only quotes which are appropriate to his thesis and circle definitions or circle criticism. And my opinion or my impression is that all the things that integrative bioethics was accused of can be directed to Mr. Bracanovic too. But I'm interested also in the motivation of this criticism, and Mr. Bracanovic can answer to this question, but I think that the answer was included in this presentation because the conclusion, which is not the philosophical one, was that the integrative bioethics in Croatia consumes a lot of resources that could be put to better use. For example, for the criticism of integrative bioethics, I suppose.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me just to ask Vojin Rakic. There was a question addressed to you when you were absent. Hrvoje just commented that you took part in Lošinj several times and haven't argued against integrated bioethics. So
No, but I never argued against. I don't argue against many things. I don't think it's worth arguing against. So it's not the theme that is in the focus of my interest at all.
It was just my comment because
many integrative bioethics like you, I like you.
Thank you very much.
It was my point.
Okay.
My point was, sorry, that Mr. Vojin Rakic knows very good who are the proponents of integrative bioethics, and that was the point of my objection, because he said before he left the room that he invited, or the organizers invited some people that are the proponents of integrative bioethics, but some of them, which were the main point of attack in this first presentation, some people were not invited at all.
Okay.
Many people get criticized in presentations which are not invited. I mean, Fukuyama was criticized. I haven't invited him.
He didn't have a pen.
Why not?
No.
Only small comment.
I suppose that you would invite Fukuyama, that he's the topic of the panel or of the conference.
Yes, because it was bioethics.
May I ask you something? Only small comment from me. My profession is psychiatrist, and I'm very permissive one, but this is very hard and difficult discussion for me. So,
Thank you, Alexander. I have just a brief comment and a brief question for the presenter. Brief comment, when I took part in bioethic conferences, usually there is one colleague of mine from Zagreb, medical doctor, who used to oppose use of any drug or vaccine. Her presentations were against vaccines. Vaccines are not efficacious at all. Do not use vaccines, do not use drugs. Well, I was angry first time I heard that, because it's not scientifically supported. It's nonsense to say vaccines are not useful or not efficacious. But well, get used to her discussions, and it was my comment. My question is about your opinion on the relationship between bioethics at all and integrative bioethics. And your opinion, could you please emphasize which stages you mean you think are important in the development of bioethics? I hope that you will start with Potter or maybe Fritz Jahr, but well, what is your opinion about bioethics itself and development stages, principalism or what?
What kind of bioethics would I endorse? Or,
No. Your opinion about bioethics. I'm not sure that would you accept bioethics at all, or just integrative bioethics concept. Excuse me, it was my first question. So question on the stages of development, because there are a lot of papers classifying development of bioethics into several stages. And probably you do not agree with such a classification. There is also European bioethics, American bioethics, or schools of bioethics. And I'm also especially interested in animals, attitudes towards animals, because both American principles and European principles could not be applied to animals. But both Potter and Fritz Jahr extended their vision to animals or all living forms of life. So I'm interested in your opinion on that. And the second question, relationship between integrative bioethics and bioethics as this.
maybe I can answer both questions in one thing. When it comes to bioethics, I'm not skeptical against bioethics in general. It's an important discipline. I see it actually as part of applied ethics, which deals with some, you mentioned it, some biomedical issues in medicine and life sciences. I take it like this. And I don't think it's that important to define how shall we define bioethics. We have actually bioethical problems. This is my position, which is probably something I endorse because of my, say, background in analytic philosophy. We try to address problems, not the way we will define bioethics. I don't think this is actually a really important thing. How will we define bioethics and how will we reconstruct its development? It doesn't really matter who invented the term bioethics. It really matter for solving real life issues like stem cell research, animal rights, animal protection. Does it really matter, was it Potter or was it Fritz Jahr who coined the term first? And I think by focusing too much on such questions, integrative bioethics are actually not doing bioethics. This is not what makes bioethics interesting and what makes it so exciting and so actually necessary. I mean, bioethicists should discuss real life issues. We had Peter Singer here a couple of days ago. He went yesterday. This is an example. You may agree or disagree with his utilitarianism, but he is working on real life issues. Integrative bioethicists are actually working on themselves. Oh, look how nicely Ante Jovic defined bioethics in his first book. Then he said, oh yeah, but it was better to call it like this. You know, they're actually doing meta bioethics, which is not very original or very interesting for the real bioethical problems. So this is my idea. Why integrative bioethics is actually reinventing the wheel in Croatia. You know, bioethics is important, so let's see how will this be implanted in Croatia. I can give them some credit for making bioethics popular in Croatia, but that's about it.
If you just clarify, if I may,
Yes.
Excuse
me, moderator, please. Hrvoje, you were first.
So I can remember.
Hey, sorry, I didn't answer your.
No, I will put an addition to my previous question so that you can answer.
I can remember everything now.
Okay. I will repeat. So now you tried to define your or explain your position in bioethics to solve the problems. From this or that perspective, I'm interested in what problems did you solve or try to solve in the field of bioethics, and my addition to the question is that so-called integrative bioethicists in Croatia and abroad too are involved into solving the bioethical problems. For example, in ethical committees, which are based and which function under the on the basis of the integrative bioethical approach or the model. So,
excuse me, everything is recorded, so could you please...
Okay, but this is the second or another stage of abstraction. First thesis is that the integrative bioethicists do not solve the problems, but they are dealing with the term of integrative bioethics or bioethics in general. And you are on the second stage of it. You are dealing with the integrative bioethicists who don't solve the problems, but they are dealing with integrative bioethics. And my question was...
This is totally untrue or something like that. I don't think so. But if you really want to know, my two parental license articles were published in the journal Ethical Perspectives, and another one was Cultural Bioethics published in Medicine, Healthcare, and Philosophy. So these are two problems I at least addressed. Allow me. But I never claimed that this is some totally new, original approach that deserves worldwide attention, that should be legislated in Croatia as new Bratanovic approach. I wrote something about it. But integrative bioethicists, as far as I can see, and this was my thesis, you said that you didn't understand what is my thesis. I have three theses. Integrative bioethics is normatively impotent. There is no idea how will you actually address a bioethical problem. The other idea is it's unoriginal, and the third idea was it has a lot of pseudoscientific elements. So I would very much like you to answer me how integrative bioethicists are solving some typical problems of bioethics and abortion, stem cell research, cloning, or enhancement. Is there a unique way of dealing with such problems, integrative bioethics way of dealing with such problems that is totally new, as your colleagues say, and totally, say, innovative when compared to the existing approaches in the world? And so, if you can tell me this, I would be very grateful. What's so new in normative respect about integrative bioethics? This was my thesis, and so...
Excuse me.
I think that we're short in time.
Yes, this could be a long-term discussion.
Yes.
I would ask Vojin Rakic, because he wanted to ask something or to comment, to give his comment.
Very briefly. Just to clarify, I didn't want to take part in this discussion, but I was, the organization was mentioned. I wanted to clarify two things. I invited prominent integrative bioethicists to be here, and that is Sandra Radenovic, who didn't appear without canceling, Professor Todorovic, who is here, and the seat of integrative bioethics in Serbia. In Serbia, integrative bioethics is even not close as strong as in Croatia, and its status is very different. But the seat at the medical faculty, I invited the dean of the medical faculty. He also didn't appear without canceled by Professor Todorovic. So I invited 2 opponents and 3 proponents of integrative bioethics. And then I said, perhaps, okay, we'll see if he's a proponent or opponent of that. So I was very balanced, even favoring integrative bioethics a little bit. So Mr. Juric might be dissatisfied that I didn't invite him, but I did invite the most prominent integrativists in Serbia. Now, my position towards integrative bioethics is very simple. I don't understand it. Perhaps I'm in need of cognitive enhancement, but I simply, and that is why I didn't comment on that in Loshi or anywhere else. I don't understand what that means, what they were saying. But again, it might be my problem that I don't understand it. Realistically, when I say I'm not dealing with it because I don't think it's worth dealing with it, I mean in this particular context in Serbia, in Croatia, because it's a state-sponsored bioethics, it is very much worth dealing with it. But I'm not from Croatia, I'm not concentrated on integrative bioethics because we do not have that issue here so much, especially after the establishment of some other institutions in the recent years where integrative bioethics is not present, bioethical institutions. So that is, and I would like to have a neutral stance in all this because I'm neutral in this. I invited you and I wouldn't like to get involved in this.
Thank you very much. I think that we are close to the term for the next presentation. Just a few minutes. Maria wanted to ask something.
It's okay.
Maybe general.
Just to inform foreign participants of this conference. In Serbia, well, I didn't want to comment there because Wayne asked me not to discuss that topic. I just want to inform them. In Serbia, there are different bioethics organizations currently present in the Bioethics Society of Serbia. Currently, there is just bioethics subject and bioethics as a discipline at the School of Medicine, not at School of Philosophy, not the Faculty of Philosophy. We have passed 2 campus projects, and Fogarty currently we run Fogarty project for the international in that field. Integrating bioethics has not been mentioned in our projects, just bioethics. So I'm pharmacologist, medical doctor, so please, and Professor Damjanovic is also medical doctor. So just to inform them, institutional organization of bioethics in Serbia is predominantly organized or spread at the School of Medicine or schools of medicine in Serbia. So I can discuss that topic later with you. There are just few proponents of bioethics outside that circle. Vojin is one prominent, and Professor Jovan Babić is my favorite opponent because I like his discussions. His discussions are fantastic, and I like to hear. But currently, we are short in time, and I will ask Professor Damjanovic to continue with this.
I have to add something to this, just as a kind of correction regarding the vocations of bioethics as part of the curriculum at the School of Philosophy. We have for 20-some years now bioethics as elective within ethical theories. In my opinion, that's the measure, and I am the head of that part of the department regarding ethics, aesthetics, and political philosophy. That's the right measure for bioethics to be being a part of applied ethics, which also is elected there, is the right measure for the curriculum in a philosophy faculty. So that's not quite correct that there is no bioethics in a philosophy faculty. It might be, as it is, that it's different. It's philosophical approach. But it's part of the curriculum for 20-something years now. We do not have some big programs in bioethics, so that's something that I suppose we never will have. It's having its proper position within the whole of the curriculum, but there is
Thank you very much. I'm well informed because I'm a member of the steering committee of the educational department of UNESCO, so I have collected your data, so I know that there is a single elective subject at your faculty. Thank you very much. Vojin, please.
One important correction. It's not me or Batuter, whoever you mentioned, New Zealand, when that the Center for the Study of Bioethics, which organized this event with the participant, is one institution that has been established. There is absolutely no integrative bioethics proponents at all. Second, the Cambridge Working Group for Bioethics Education, also here at the Faculty of, or at the Center for the Study of Bioethics at the Institute for Philosophy and Social Theory. And Serbia, the UNESCO Chair in Bioethics, also you're a member of it, but it's prominently, as you know, no integrative bioethics is there. And I wouldn't allow in any of those institutions integrative bioethics to take prominence simply because I don't understand it. So when I understand it one day, I might say that is the right thing, let's go with it, as long as I don't understand what integrative bioethics say.
Okay.
I'm not allowed.
Okay, thank you very much. I was not aware that you don't understand something in bioethics, but well, as a director, I'm sure that you should understand some things, some basic things. So I apologize to the other participants that the director of this conference do not understand bioethics. Please, could you, please, I do not, please, I want to see this discussion because it's very difficult, as my colleague told. I would ask Professor Damjanovic to announce the next presenter.
So, because